Coming up, most college students can vote, but will they? We have a report.
James Hoffa comes to Orange County to push for the Teamsters presidency. We have details.
And in sports, Mount St. Mary College begins its new season. The Nightly Report is next.
You're watching the news leader in the Tri-County region, Time Warner's Cable 6 Nightly Report with Tracy Baxter, Nicole Feller, and the Time Warner Cable 6 News team.
Good evening. The heat is on local political candidates to get people to the polls next Tuesday.
That is correct, Nicole. It is down to the wire for area political candidates as each tries to improve his or her chances next Tuesday, Election Day. But candidates face a tough sell when they try to lure area college students to the polls. Correspondent Melissa Cooper says it appears a large percentage of eligible voters on local campuses won't be taking part in the process.
It's important that we get out there and voice our opinion, so I find it very important to vote.
Ben Ambrose is a minority among his peers when it comes to voting. Do you plan to vote in this coming election?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm not really interested in voting or the issues.
The director of the Marist poll on public opinion says that's a common problem with getting young people to cast their ballots.
People register when they think they have a stake in the outcome, then it's relevant to them. And that's part of the difficulty here.
Issues that I would like to see them deal more with is issues on, just issues dealing with college and college policies and et cetera, et cetera.
Taxes. They're going to take less out of our checks.
This year's election has been less about issues and more about mudslinging, a strategy which discourages voters, particularly those who are new to the political process.
This year, it's sort of like a lot of negative ads, sort of a don't rock the boat electorate, sort of a ho-hum attitude, and that's not going to drive people into voting. Issues drive voters to the polls, and a stake in the economy, and people feel more connected and they have more interest in the outcome.
Do you think in the future that you'll ever get out to the polls and vote?
Yeah, maybe once I have kids, and when I'm looking out for their future, I'm sure more issues will become more important to me.
For Cable 6 News, I'm Melissa Cooper.
Well, the New York Public Interest Research Group has collected the signatures of nearly 30,000 college students on petitions calling on top officials to make sure higher education in the state is accessible and affordable. Those petitions will be forwarded to the campaigns of the 4 leading candidates for governor.
Politicians aren't the only ones who are coming to the area seeking votes. Today, James Hoffa, son of the legendary Jimmy Hoffa, stopped at Wakefern Distribution Center at Crystal Run to speak to Teamsters about his bid for the International Brotherhood of Teamsters presidency. The last president, Ron Carey, was charged with stealing union funds. Hoffa says he wants to restore Teamster power.
Ron Carey was in there, he divided our union, they embezzled money, and that's why the members are sick and tired of that type of leadership, and they want new leadership, and we're going to be the ones to turn this union around.
There are 1.4 million members nationwide. They'll receive a ballot for this election in the mail next week. It's a 3-way race between Hoffa, Tom Leadham, and John Metz. Hoffa urged local 445 union members to support his team.
I know what I can do. We can reunite the union. We're going to cure the financial crisis. We're going to start organizing, and they're immediately going to see a change in the way this union runs.
I have a lot of faith in Jim, and we all do. He's the guy that's going to bring the Teamsters back together, back to be the powerhouse we once were. Ron Carey has destroyed this union, and everybody that's still down there that shouldn't be there after the last election with all the fraud is going to be taken out, and they're not doing the job. So
Teamsters have to send in their ballots by December 3rd. The union will announce its new president December 6th.
It is called Buyer Beware. It's where undercover police let the drug suspects come to them. And 7 people were taken into custody during a 6-hour period yesterday in the city of Middletown. City police used investigators with the State Police Narcotics Enforcement Team to hang around the Park Circle and North Street areas. And when people approached them about buying drugs, officers moved in. Police say the suspects were looking to buy marijuana or crack.
The Legionnaire scare in Ellenville appears to be over. Earlier this month, health officials identified 13 cases of Legionnaire's disease in the community, but no new cases have been identified since. Further, tests on Legionella bacteria in the Ellenville Hospital's cooling tower matched DNA from some affected patients, supporting suspicions that the cooling system was the source of the disease. The cooling tower has been disinfected, and water samples have since tested negative for Legionella. County and state public health representatives say there's no evidence of an ongoing risk.
Well, it looks like Mother Nature will be kind to the trick-or-treaters tomorrow. Here is first weather. Clear and cool tonight, the low of 35 degrees, and look for a mix of sun and clouds tomorrow, the high Saturday 50. We'll have a complete look at the local forecast later this half hour. It is not Halloween yet, but plenty of goblins and ghouls were walking around
yes,
today.
A lot of cute ones walking around the streets of Worthboro. We'll check out the annual Chase School Halloween Parade a bit later.
And the basketball season at Mount St. Mary College in Newburgh now officially underway. The story and more coming up in sports. Members of an advisory committee set up to manage land west of Stewart Airport are in a holding pattern. They say they'd rather wait for the governor to clearly determine exactly which lands will be available for development and which for recreational use. Committee meeting last night at the airport debating what should be done with its state-owned land, or if anything should be suggested at all until the final state plans are disclosed. Others aren't thrilled with the plan for 1,200 acres of land to be used for commercial development.
I tend to have a problem with the fact that there's so much land in the area that has been developed and then just left to lie, that there's more than enough land for them to find anything they need to do their development.
Stewart Park and Reserve Coalition's not part of the committee, but they may have representation in the near future. President Sandra Kassam says the land issue could be settled very easily with the stroke of the governor's pen.
If the governor wants to save the land, he could do so now without holding these meetings. He could save it as a wildlife management area, just as was done with legislation or with a bill that was passed in the Assembly this past June.
But local Assemblywoman Nancy Calhoun believes the better course of action is to take a wait-and-see approach.
In order to be able to decide what we're going to do with the acreage, we need to know where that 6,200 acres is, and we have to see that the needs of the local community is addressed, as well as looking at just the idea of what will we do with 6,200 acres.
Committee will discuss including Spark representatives at their next meeting coming up December 3rd.
Statistics show that more than 62 million Americans use the internet, and apparently some of those users have become addicted. In fact, Dutchess County Community College psychology professor Kimberly Young says up to 10% of people surfing the net are addicts. Young recently finished a book titled Caught in the Net, Internet Addiction, and has founded a center for online addiction. She believes the condition is so prevalent because the internet offers a safe place to chat.
We're not happy perhaps with our own lives, and this offers sort of an alter fantasy, life where I can go online and I can pretend to be something I'm not, or I can have an instant friendship with people that maybe I don't have a sense of community or neighborhood in my own life.
Young says certain people are more prone to becoming online addicts than others.
I've noticed, especially for people that might suffer from depression or just a lot of low self-esteem, they have a hard time dealing with interpersonal relationships because they feel that they have to please others, they have to do what others, they have a higher need of, for approval and a fear of rejection. Where on the internet, you don't have to deal with that.
If you think you may have a problem, you may want to pick up Dr. Young's recovery book for internet addicts.
Well, one of America's most respected and best-selling authors was at West Point this week, meeting with cadets and Academy brass, talking about leadership and the lessons he's learned by talking to true American heroes. Reporter Justin Adele has more on an evening with Dr. Stephen Ambrose.
Saving Private Ryan has been dubbed one of the greatest movies about war ever made, and director Steven Spielberg says this man had a lot to do with it. His name is Dr. Stephen Ambrose. He has penned 18 books, including 3 bestsellers, each on events in American and world history, including a detailed account of the D-Day invasion, telling the story compellingly from the voices of survivors. His latest work, Undaunted Courage, tells the epic adventure of the Lewis and Clark expedition, what he jokingly referred to as the world's greatest camping trip. This was the topic of his presentation last night to a packed house on the campus of West Point, a place Ambrose has also written about and one he truly admires.
I just think that this place is the most precious in the country for all of us, because it is here that the officers are trained who, since 1803, have been defending our freedom and never threatening our freedom.
In his profile of the Lewis and Clark expedition, Ambrose focused on the duo's remarkable leadership skills, lessons these future leaders said can be just as useful today.
I think the leadership that he spoke about was really pertinent for us as cadets. especially the examples he gave, they're actually applicable to us because we're going to be in the position of company commanders.
He's got such a worthwhile message for cadets that it's a great opportunity that we got him to come tonight.
In closing, Ambrose offered an observation of Lewis and Clark that every future leader must learn if they are to achieve greatness.
They had become a band of brothers. And together, they were able to accomplish feats that we just stand astonished at today. It was the captains who welded the Corps of Discovery into a team, indeed into a family. This was their greatest accomplishment.
At West Point, Justin Nadal, Cable 6 News.
Time now for sports, and two local rivals square off tonight.
Yeah, it happens to be the Cable 6 game of the week. Port and Minisink coming up next in sports. A look at Midnight Madness from Mount St. Mary College last night. Also a local rivalry last night in hockey as the Devils and Islanders tangled at the Coliseum. Stay tuned for that and more next in sports.
Today's stock report, furnished by Martin Schwartz, a leading financial consultant with Smith Barney, Fort Jervis.
Time for sports. Tony Marino's off tonight. What a way to kick off a basketball season. Last night at Mount St. Mary College in Newburgh, a few hundred members of the student body gathered at the Kaplan Center to welcome in this year's men's and women's basketball teams.
For the first time since the inception of its basketball program, Mount St. Mary's College put on their own form of Midnight Madness. By the looks of things, all went well.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Fans come out, support the team. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's the first time I've had Midnight Madness because I'm a freshman, but it's an experience.
Oh, yeah, we've got great spirit, you know. It's kind of tucked in here next to the Hudson Valley, and a lot of people don't realize it, but the last three years or so, the school's really supported us, and, you know, each year seems to get a little bit better.
The festivities included men's and women's pickup games, three-point contests, prize shots for students, and the whole night capped off by a slam dunk contest where this guy stole the show.
I had no idea what I was going to do. I just got here and I had a bandana, so I figured I'd try to blindfold some of the other dunks I've been working on through the week, so I just pulled them out pretty much tonight.
Well, I was really hoping he'd do the one where he throws it off the wall and then comes in with a 360, you know, but this is new. I've never seen a blindfolded one before. But, you know, Gary's a great kid, very popular here.
Well, the Mount's first game, November 20th versus St. Joseph's of Brooklyn. Well, tonight our final regular season game of the week here on Cable 6. The matchup on paper would seem to be a blowout, considering Port Jervis has not allowed a single point in its last 3 games. Minisink, by the way, was an underdog last week against a conference champ in Goshen. They still came out on top.
You know, we haven't had the greatest season. We thought we'd be a lot better record-wise. We've been in a lot of ball games. We've lost some close ones. We got embarrassed last week by Brewster, and I think our kids were committed to try to do better against a Class B team, even though we know how good Goshen is. They're a conference champion, and we were using that as a motivation to see if we could play with a conference champion.
Let's check out some of the other games for the weekend. Tonight's NFA Kingston game could decide who plays Monroe in the Class AA title game. Too long a scenario to explain. The bottom line, Newburgh wins, they are in. Saturday, the Spirit Trophy game between Warwick and Goshen. A reminder, if you go to that game, both teams holding a food drive. A non-perishable food item gets you in to see this great game. Middletown at Valley Central, and the Bushmen visiting the Wizards on Saturday. Well, the Devils didn't exactly solve their offensive woes last night, but they did flash signs of that former devilish defense, holding the Islanders to just 1 goal last night. Let us head out to the hallowed Nassau Coliseum. But the Islanders down 2-0 late in the second when Marius Charkovsky hits Jason Daw, puts it past Marty Brodeur to pull the Isles within 1. It's puck night at the Coliseum. Lucky the Islanders don't pack him in, or this could take a while to clean up. Anyway, time running down. Martin Lapointe, a scoring chance, shoots it high, 2-1 the way it will end. Great night between the pipes for Devils' Marty Brodeur. He stops 22 out of 23 shots. Only local in action tonight, the Rangers. The Carolina Hurricanes blow into town for that one. That's a look at sports. Let's go back to local news now. John Burke was apparently not getting much out of his anti-DWI class he was attending. The mandatory class is for those convicted of driving while intoxicated or driving while ability impaired. Middletown Police Sergeant David Green teaches the course at Orange County Community College. And last night he noticed one of his students, 32-year-old John Burke of Central Valley, had come to the class intoxicated. After it was over, Burke was seen getting into his car, and he was arrested and charged again with driving while intoxicated. Police say his blood alcohol content was 3 times the legal limit.
It was enough to stop traffic, literally. Reporter Christine Holman was in the village of Worthboro earlier today where some very strange things were going on.
News alert, news alert. Here's the latest on the experiments of John Glenn. He's looking and feeling younger each and every day. And unexpectedly, the other shuttle members found that we are not alone in this world. And this just in, back on Earth, things are awry.
Well, for my braids, they were real hard, and my grandpa was at one end and my mother was at the other end. And so then she just put red hair dye in my hair.
And kids are pleading with their parents to be the strangest things. What made you decide to become a monster tree?
Last year I wanted it. I begged my mom to do them, but she said no.
And it just so happens that this little monster tree wasn't the only one affected by this strange occurrence. Unfortunately, the whole Emma Chase Elementary School was affected.
One day out of the year I get dressed up for them, so.
And so, is she like very similar to your personality, or is she something different? Kind of explain.
Well, according to him, I'm very similar to her, yes. I give orders.
And remember, dressing up for Halloween isn't only for kids, because in each and every one of us, there's a kid just itching to get out.
In Westboro, I'm Christine Holman, Cable 6 News.
She's really scaring me. Well, it looks like it'll be good trick-or-treating weather for all those kids tonight.
Yeah,
or tomorrow, actually.
That's right. Forecast looks good for the entire weekend here in the Tri-County region. Jason McLeod has the very latest from the Weather Center.
Then a visit to this haunted house in the hamlet of Walkhill provides a good scare for a good cause. We'll take you there when we come back.
Here's tonight's lineup on Cable 6 television.
We enjoyed perfect fall weather today, but will the pleasant conditions stick around for Halloween? We're all hoping we won't have to wear our jackets over our costumes tomorrow night. Let's check in with Jason McLeod, who's standing by in the Cable 6 Weather Center. Jason, will our Halloween forecast be a trick or treat?
Well, Nicole, looks like quite a treat tomorrow night. Only jackets I think we'll need will be for the cold. I won't say cold-hearted, but the cold-natured. How's that? We'll maybe need a jacket or two as you head out tomorrow night. If you're not staying out too late in the evening, it won't be too bad. Overnight low only down to about 40 degrees. Showers back down to the south. We're looking for some showers up to the north and showers back to the west, but no showers for us just right now. We've got the weakening boundary pushing off the Atlantic and dying tomorrow to our south. Otherwise, things are pretty quiet. I'll leave you for a moment with a look at the conditions today, and we'll be back with a 6-day outlook next. Back to Cable 6 weather, the forecast looks like this. We'll see some scattered showers to the south and up to the north. It's pretty quiet right now. High pressure trying to build in over the next couple of days. But a big storm system building in the southwestern U.S. and the south central states, something to be watched. 37 Monticello and also for Ellenville, 38 for Newburgh and Middletown tonight. Tomorrow, we'll look for partly sunny skies to the day. 52 the high, holding at about 40 tomorrow night. 51 the high Sunday with sunshine returning into the 30s at night as we head out Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But looks like tomorrow night, pretty good forecast. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Jason. And finally tonight, what creeps and crawls in the night? The answer, just about everything in the haunted house at Pop's Pavilion in the hamlet of Walkhill. Last night I ventured into its rooms of terror and lived to tell about it. If you're among the faint of heart, turn back now. But those of you in for a good scare, enter if you dare. The first thing you'll realize while walking through this haunted house is expect the unexpected. There's a lot of haunted houses out there. What makes yours special?
The element of surprise. I think that's the secret. You don't need a lot of special effects or props. What you need to do is get people when they least expect it and give them a good scare.
There to set up the terrifying scenarios is the Wicked Witch of the West and her sidekick who blends in with the crowd.
I get them to stop at the right spot so that they get surprised when they have to. And then when John comes into it, he just comes in as, you know, part of the crowd, and we kind of blend him in. But I can't say too much because it's a surprise.
Tell me what you do, John. Can you give up the secret?
Yeah. Basically, I get lugged into the coffin.
One after another, an unmerciful sequence of monsters seem to appear from out of thin air around every dark corner. And I wasn't the only one scared out of my wits.
It was very scary for me and my little 5-year-old brother.
But don't be fooled. These are actually local volunteers with big hearts, spooking the daylights out of you for a good cause.
We want to be able for a family to come down with their children, have a little snack, enjoy the show, and hang around for an hour or so, maybe do some pumpkin painting, and keep it as inexpensive as possible, and still raise some money for a worthy cause, in this case, which is the Rotary Club of Plattekill and Troop 185 Boy Scouts.
The haunted house is located on Route 208, and the cost is only $3.50 for adults and $2.50 for children under 12. It's already open this evening and will open tomorrow night at 5. Organizers say they'll keep the house open as long as there's a line.
And it's a benefit, too. You're helping
Yeah,
some
it was
charities.
lots of fun. Take it from me.
Thanks a lot, Nicole. That's a report. Thanks for watching.
Enjoy the nice weather this weekend. We hope you have a safe Halloween, and we'll see you on Monday.
I've got to deal with my credit problem.